So you have a tender read and you love overlanding. You have plans to do it big on the trails and some super glamping. One ideas, tip, news and reviews, a podcast the first rate and here just for you. You don't have to think about it, join us and be about it. Something interesting we want to hear about it, come on let's talk about it. Welcome to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints Podcast.
Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by MYMEDIC. Sponsored by TEMBO TUSK. Sponsored by Trail Rated Coffee Company.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hi, my name is Phil from Waypoint Overland, and you're listening to Random Waypoints. All right, so here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Random Waypoints podcast. We'll be doing an episode every week. So like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss an episode. This week, we discuss my travel plans to Alaska and some of the things that you can expect. So stay tuned for the whole show. But first, we're going to take a quick look at the news. In Canada, they finally have decided to drop testing requirements for vaccinated travelers on April 1st. This particular news is a major reason why the change in format for this particular podcast. Because they've decided to do that, it's allowed me to start to go full force in planning my trip to Alaska. Until those things were sorted out, I couldn't take my trip. So with that, everything is now full steam ahead. You're probably wondering, a lot of people went to Alaska, so why couldn't you go? Well, I wanted to go through Canada, and I wanted to go through the Yukon territories, and obviously COVID was an issue. So good news for me, good news for anybody who wanted to take a true overland trip to Alaska and not hop on a boat or finagle some kind of legal things. So now fully vaccinated travelers soon will be able to travel to Canada without presenting a negative coronavirus test. They eased the policies going into effect starting April 1st, and it applies to visitors who arrive by air, land, or sea. And they still, if you don't have your vaccinations, they still require you to, I think it's a 14-day holding or anything. So anyway, Canada requires travelers to upload their details of their trip and proof of vaccination online on their system called ArriveCam. So that's the news as far as Canada. The other news that I have for you is about the 2023 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. Very, very popular vehicle in the overlanding community right now. Lots of rave reviews about how good a vehicle it is for overlanding. But now, with the 2023, they're swapping out the 3.0-liter V6 for the diesel 2.0-liter. And if you know anything about them, if you compare the two, even though they're moving down to fewer cylinders, the horsepower is increased and also the torque. So this is actually a very popular move. I looked at different polls that were given to potential buyers and people who already own the vehicles, and people seem to like that engine move. So if you're somebody interested in a Sprinter van and you don't want the 4-cylinder and you want the V6 twin turbo, you need to buy a 2022 because they're going to be switching those engines. So with that, we're going to go straight into my trip. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff here. I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about other than the trip and everything that I can think of to tell you guys. So the first thing is, this is a 45-day trip, possibly 60 days, depending upon the weather and how I'm feeling after 45 days. I'll be giving live podcasts every single week like we always do, except obviously I'll be doing them live, and I'm going to be doing them in Alaska. Now, every one of them will be live, but there will be quite a few of them because I plan on being in a lot of scenic places, and I want you to see them as I'm seeing them. So hopefully a lot of the podcasts will have backdrops that are going to just be like epic views. And we'll talk about the challenges of the trip, the logistics of the trip as it goes on and progresses. I'll be giving a lot of information about Alaska that I think will be beneficial for the next person going on a trip. And even if you're not interested in taking the trip, I believe that I'll be giving a lot of eye candy, and I'm going to be offering a lot of things. So let's get into those things. Not only am I going to just continue with the podcast, I'm going to be doing interviews with chefs at Alaskan restaurants. I'll be interviewing travelers that I encounter along the way. And I'm a big GaiGPS person, but for this trip, I'm going to be using GaiGPS. I'm going to be using OnTrail, and I'm going to be using Onyx Offroad. I'm planning the whole trip over 3 times with each app. Not only am I going to plan the trip, as I'm taking the trip and I'm giving you these podcasts and I'm giving you updates on the trip, I'm going to give you my opinion on the usefulness of each app that I use in Canada, and separately, I'm going to give you the usefulness of it in Alaska, because I'm thinking that there's going to be a difference in how well they do when I'm in America versus when I'm in Canada and the Yukon territories. And I think it's a good test for these 3 apps because there's a lot of uncharted roads. There's a lot of open remote space, more than any other place on the northern continent for Americans. So this is a good test. I feel like whatever I come up with will be highly accurate because it will be given the biggest challenges. I'll also be letting you know which one has the ease of use, which ones are, one could be better in one sense to a person who enjoys technical stuff, but another person may not enjoy it. They're looking for something that's just plain easy. So I'm going to be letting you know which one of these apps is easy to use, and not just in general, but is it easy to use for plan routing? Is it easy using layers? I'm going to give a very detailed assessment of these apps. Also, I'm going to give some long-term reviews that I've been holding on to. And when I say long-term reviews, I mean long-term reviews. Some things will be 5+ years gear. Some gear, the newest gear will be at least 2 years old. So it will have gotten a real workout. One of my pet peeves when I'm watching different reviews and stuff is it's not even really a review. They install the thing. Sometimes they don't even install it themselves. And then they talk about how great it is. And they might go take some epic video of them riding around with their new upgrade or piece of gear. And they tell you it's great. And then you go buy it and you find out it's not. You can't really give a good review on Overland equipment and it not be at least a minimum of a year. And the gear that it's all going to be at least 2 years. So that means that if I tell you something is a go, that it's a good piece of gear or product, it'll mean that it's something that you can buy and it at least last 2 seasons. It's been through 2 seasons of a true overlander who puts thousands and thousands of miles on his vehicle and his gear. So let me back up a bit, because everybody does not know who they're talking to. I know there's some famous people who are overlanders out here, but I'm an actual overlander. From April through November, I go on 3-4 big major trips where I'm gone for weeks and months at a time, crossing several states, cross country, traversing the United States, north to south, east to west, diagonally, going to different overland events. I have a 2016 Jeep Wrangler that I currently drive, and it currently has over 200,000 miles on it. And I put every one of them on there except for 4 miles. So I say that all to say that when I give these assessments of gear, I think I'm in the 1 percentile of people who can really give you a real review of the gear. And if I say, yeah, you buy this or you install this particular thing, it's a quality piece of equipment. So I'm looking forward to that, because I have things that I don't even use anymore that I've been keeping in my garage specifically for this time to talk about. Because some things I'm not just going to talk about the gear I'm using. I'm going to talk about gear that I don't use anymore. And I'll just give you a brief example so you know what I'm talking about. Like, for instance, I'm pretty set on my kitchen and how I cook. I know what stoves and what forms of heating and I use, and I know what plates and all of that stuff. But I have maybe 15 of the most popular stoves in storage right now, and I used all of them. One of you guys out there who's watching is probably laughing because I gave away a really nice stove, but most of them I've kept for this day, for this time, when it comes to be able to reflect and show you all of these different items and let you know, no, I didn't just buy 1 item or 2 items and think I know it all. No, when it comes to the stoves, I've used all the stoves. When it comes to chairs, I've used all the chairs. When it comes to whatever, I've used quite a few of the most popular products before I decided this is what I'm going with for the long haul. So let's move on. So it's not going to just be gear reviews, and it's not even going to be a lot of them. Now, this is something you really should be excited about. I have set up some sponsors, and I'm still working on some sponsors that are they're not long-term sponsors, but each week that I'm traveling, there'll be a sponsor that's sponsoring that week's particular podcast, and they are going to either give something away or give a truly significant discount on a product. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to get anything. You guys are going to be getting stuff. So that's going to be fun. So let's move on. Okay, the next thing. So before I tell you about that, if you don't know me, people who do know me know or think I'm a pretty decent cook. I'm a better eater. But anyway, people keep asking me why I don't cook anymore or why I don't show my cooking anymore, because I cook all the time. But why don't you post your meals when you're camping on Instagram or whatever? So with that, I'm going to be doing a cooking show. And it's not going to just be a cooking show. It's going to be, you know, a lot of the things you see other people do. Yes, I'm going to do that. But in addition to that, I'm going to go to favorite Alaskan restaurants, popular Alaskan restaurants. And when I say restaurants, it may be a lodge, it may be those trucks, a food truck. It could be a range of different type of restaurants when I say restaurants. And we're going to try very popular Native Alaskan foods. And then when we try them, I'm going to go out and let's say it's some kind of seafood that we tried at a restaurant. Well, I'm going to take that very popular Native Alaskan piece of seafood. I'm going to go to a market and purchase it, or I'm going to maybe catch it, or go to a butcher or a hunter to provide it. And then I'm going to give my version of that particular meal. And I made a point of saying that, there'd be different places that I would get the food, because one of the things for me personally that I'm going to enjoy is I plan to eat a lot of game. One of the things on my list is to eat a lot of game foods. And I just have a few listed here. I plan to eat reindeer, moose, caribou, black bear, Dall sheep, spruce hen, mountain goat, game. I plan to eat game. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have an opportunity to eat all of those things. And one of the things I didn't mention is I want to eat whale blubber. I've had whale blubber before, but it was preserved, and I don't count that. I want to eat some fresh whale blubber it would be preferably from a hunt, fresh hunt. And we're not going to just be eating wild game every day. We're going to go through the whole gambit. We're going to eat all of the seafood they have, whether it be Dungeness crab, king crab, salmon, you know, all the popular oysters, everything. We're going to try and eat it all. Alaska is known for berries. So I plan on picking some berries. I plan on eating berries, and I plan on eating berries in all its different forms, you know, whether it be a pie, whether it be jam, syrups for pancakes, whatever it might be. And as far as food, one of my bucket list things to do, and I apologize to the Native people if I pronounce this wrong, Akutak. It's an indigenous Alaskan dish. It's considered an old school survival meal for some people consider it an exotic dessert. And let me tell you what it has. It has animal fat, fish, berries, tundra greens, and occasionally snow. And there's more modern versions that include sugar, milk, and Crisco. I've seen it before. I've heard about it. I've seen it on food documentaries and things like that. So that's on my bucket list to have it in Alaska. And hopefully, if my plans work out, I'm going to get it from a true native Alaskan. So that's something personally on my bucket list I am really looking forward to. And I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and Alaska is considered part of the Pacific Northwest. Our whole area, our thing is coffee and beers. So I plan on trying different coffees. Now, I don't mean just popping into coffee shops. I'm going to try some of the best coffee in Alaska, and we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to taste it, and I'm going to the best of my ability, give you a comparison with beers, wines, and coffee. So that's another thing I'm looking for. That's something I usually do on all my trips. I make a point of drinking good coffee and good wines, good spirits that are local. I love to do that. I wanted to also talk about some of my references, because usually whenever I talk about any of my travel, people want to know, how did you plan that? How did you do this? How did you find out? Okay. So I ordered a bunch of books. I watched a bunch of YouTube channels. So let's just start with the books. The main book that I used, which is the one I thought I wouldn't use that much, because it's a very generic book, but that's ended up being why it's the best book. It's called the MILEPOST, and the particular one I have is the MILEPOST 2021 Alaska Travel Planner. It's 2022 now, so the 2022 is out. I think it just came out maybe even a few weeks ago. So if you're planning on going to Alaska and you haven't started, getting your references together and your research together, I highly recommend you getting the MILEPOST Alaska Travel Planner, but make sure you get 2022 this year. And you said you bought a bunch of books. Why aren't you mentioning the other books? This one, okay, like there were other books, but those books were like sections of this book. This book was like everything together. It breaks things down into stops. It had maps. It has phone numbers, websites, addresses, quick blurbs and information on restaurants, lodges, campgrounds, recreation, the highway, everything you want to know. So I highly, highly recommend the MILEPOST. And this isn't something new. This was something that was laid onto me. This is a reference that's been used for a long time by many, many people, and everyone seems to be very happy with it. So with that, let's talk about routes. Now, the routes that I'm going to take, so I don't believe in deception. I watch a lot of channels and they never say it, but they try to infer like they took this long journey and the majority of it was on trails. Well, that's generally how I do travel. But if I'm not, I'm not going to infer that or try and make you think that. This isn't going to be one of the ruggedest trips that I've taken. I even figured out it's going to be about 75 to 80% on road, on highway, and some of them may be dirt, but they're going to be known highways and roads. The other 20 to 25%, it'll be definitely trails. There's no way I'm going to do this whole thing and I'm not going to be off-road on trails. But it's only going to be, every trail I do, it's going to be a very well-known, popular bucket list trail. Other than that, there's not going to be too much deviation off of the itinerary that I'm creating. But I'm a spontaneous dude, so if I hear about something, that may change. But as of now, it's going to be about 80% highways versus trails. And all right, sorry there. My battery went out. I hope I can remember everything I said, but apologize for that. Anyway, I looked at the recording, and the last thing I talked about was that I was going to be taking 80% highway, 20% trails. And I wanted to mention to you what highways that I knew that I was going to take for sure, what highways were in my planning. And the first highway I want to mention is, if I only take one highway on this whole trip, let's say I had to stop for some reason in the middle of the trip and I could only take one of these highways, this is the one that I want to take. So the first one is Stewart-Cassiar Highway. And the reason why I'm making such a big fuss about it is, out of all the major highways heading up to Canada through the Yukon, heading into Alaska, out of all the different options and things, in my opinion, the Stewart-Cassiar Highway is the best as far as all that you get. First of all, it's the most remote one. So, it's not as much traffic, and that's relative. The other thing is you're going to a better chance of seeing wildlife. It's the road closest to the coast. I'm trying to do an outdoor remote thing, so that's the highway that falls most in line with that. When we talk about these trips to Alaska, a lot of people make it seem like it's more remote than it is. Well, some of these highways, if you take them, I mean, there's cities all along. You're never more than a couple of hours away from a city. So taking the Stewart-Cassiar Highway stretches it out more, makes it more remote, more enjoyable for me. But with that said, I plan on taking all those other highways. I plan on taking the Dempster Highway. I plan on taking the Dalton Highway. I plan on taking the Alaska Highway. And I'm going to enjoy them all, but the highlight for me is the Stewart-Cassiar. I usually hear like people when they're asking questions about what routes they should take or what roads are the best roads. I normally don't even hear people talk about the Stewart-Cassiar Highway. It's kind of astounding to me because it's such a big departure from the other ones. When I usually hear the debate, it's Dempster versus Dalton Highway. If you were to start typing in that name in Google, it would probably start, populating Dempster versus Dalton. And I plan on taking the Dempster. I plan on taking the Dalton Highway. But the highlight for me is the Stewart-Cassiar Highway, and the Alaska Highway is just necessary. So that's the main routes and stuff that I'm going to take. And like I said, I have some trails in mind that I'm definitely going to take. I don't want to mention them in advance. But I promise you, if you guys follow along, whether it's here, Instagram, wherever you follow me, it's going to be worth your while. Visually, I'm going to give you so much eye candy throughout this trip that you better be following. So we're gonna get off of the highways, and I want to talk in general about what my goals are with this trip. Usually, when people talk about trips, vacations, and stuff like that, they don't like using the word goals so much. It sounds like work. And to me, part of travel is work, especially the planning. Anyway, I always have goals, whether it's for me to do nothing. I have a goal. There's usually a theme and a goal to my trips, almost always. The theme I'm not going to disclose. You'll learn the theme of my trip as it evolves if you happen to come along. But my goals, I'm more than willing to share right now, and they're simple. The number one is I plan on photographing and filming wildlife. Lots of filming and photographing of wildlife. That's one of my main number one goals, and I'm going to share some of that with you. I have goals of filming and photographing whales, seals, sea lions, grizzly, moose, caribou, and anything else I can get my lens on. Lots of wildlife, hopefully. And I don't think that's going to be hard. And we just talked about it. One of my goals is to do some trails. I have some bucket list trails going up to Alaska, and I have some bucket list trails that I plan on going on when I head back to the States. And I'm not going to reveal what they are, but that's one of my goals is to knock those trails off my list. Just knock them off my list. And this is always a goal in all my trips, but it's a goal to camp in scenic locations. One of my goals is to, as high a percentage of this trip as possible, to camp in very scenic locations. I want to see eye candy. This is all about eye candy for me. I want to wake up to a dream. I want to pull up to a dream. I want to have a campfire dream. So I plan on camping along a lot of rivers, a lot of creeks, a lot of dense forests, with a lot of mountain landscapes and backdrops. I plan on camping where there's a lot of beauty, and I plan on sharing that, so you'll see it. I plan on eating a lot of local food. And when I say local food, I don't mean just local food. I mean local native food, food that has a long history in that state. I want to not just eat the local food. I want to eat the meals, the recipes, the traditional things that they ate. So I don't know how much of that I'm going to be able to do. I have some things that I have planned out and coordinated already that I'm guaranteed to do, but I'm going to try and do that as much as possible throughout the trip, is to eat as much local food and eat local recipes. And with that, my other goal, and before I get into my other goal, I want to say something. A lot of times people travel, and I listen to people. They never leave the tourist trap. They never leave the airport. They fly where they're going to fly. They get in an Uber. They take the Uber to a hotel. They walk around a few square blocks of a city. If they reach out past that, they take a vehicle and go straight to a tourist trap and back to their hotel. And then they come back and feel as though they've had an experience in that land, and you really haven't. You do enough traveling, you will learn that most metropolises are all the same. The accents are the only thing that change, really. All the same. The only real travel that you did was physical travel, but you've done no traveling with your mind. When you travel, you should try to experience the locals. Eat a meal with a local. Talk to a local. Have a genuine conversation with a local. Don't just talk to them. Have a genuine conversation with a local. Make friends with a local. Go where the locals eat. Eat at a off the tourist list restaurant. Befriend a baggage person, the taxi guy, the concierge. Find out where they go, where they eat. Talk to them. Experiencing the places you are versus visiting them are entirely different things. And I find that a majority of people, for one reason or another, a majority of their travel is the latter. So with that said, one of my goals is to experience all things authentically Alaskan and Yukon, mostly Alaskan. I want to interact with a lot of native Alaskans. I want to delve into the history of Alaska in a very unique way. So I'm looking forward to that. And you're going to see that in the interviews that I have planned already, and some of the ones that I just think are going to happen through discovery. I'm going to share with you real people I think that you are going to find unique, that you'll find heartwarming, that you'll find that you get some form of a learning experience from in some way or another. So I'm really looking forward to the interviews. And even though I have some plan to get the others, it's going to take me getting in with the locals, experiencing and dealing with and interacting with the locals. So, and that's not like a drudgery to me. That's not laborious. I'm looking forward to that. That's what it's all about. I don't want to go on a trip and all the places I ate are places that I could eat at anywhere around the world, or they're a chain or something. I want to eat somewhere where I plan on eating at a lot of mom and pop places, which won't be hard the more north I get. So that's one of my goals. And last but not least, I want to enjoy the landscape. I just want to enjoy. I want as many hours, minutes, seconds of the day to have eye candy in front of me. I want to see something beautiful in front of me as much as possible on this trip. And I'm going to do everything I can possibly to do that, whether it be parking the rig and taking a seaplane or a helicopter ride. I forgot. I didn't even get into that. One of my goals with the wildlife thing is I want to get I want to take photos of the the brown bears on Kenai Island. So that's going to require a seaplane. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm going to do whatever it is so that I can have constant eye candy in front of me, whether it's taking a helicopter, a boat, a plane, hiking, whatever it takes. And I'm looking forward to it. It's not that far off, but it seems like it's far off. And I didn't list this as a goal, but as I think I have another goal too. I'm looking forward to the interaction with anyone who decides that you're going to follow along on what's to come. I'm looking forward to surprising you with some of the gifts, some of the discounts. I'm looking forward to talking to you about the gear and hearing what you got to say. That's the only reason why I'm on social media. Me being on social media started with I just wanted to share my journey, and I wanted to follow other people's journeys. So I'm going to do everything I can to make it enjoyable for you, and I know it's going to be enjoyable for me because I love getting out there and doing it, and I can't wait. So I've kind of given you a very general idea of this trip. But I want to tell you where I'm coming from. You remember the Food Network? I mean the old Food Network, the one before they had all these reality shows and these game shows and everything. It was mostly either you were in a kitchen and you were instructing and showing how to cook, or you were somewhere at a restaurant or somewhere showing people good food. I'm going to give you a little bit of that old Food Network in some of what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going to restaurants that I promise you're going to have on your list once you get a chance to go to Alaska. And I'm going to cook food that is going to make your mouth water. So that's why I say, and it's going to be in a format that will be reminiscent, but it's going to be reminiscent of Food Network, but in a more outdoorsy, overlandy way. The other kind of inspiration, or I should say direction I'm taking in this is, if you followed me for a while, you know one of my inspirations early on in travel was Charles Corral. So you're going to see a lot of Charles Corral in the things that I do on this trip, such as the people I choose to interview. You know, I'm going to, trust me, you're going to hear from very unique, interesting people that you probably would have never, ever heard of unless I put a mic and a camera in front of them. So that's my Charles Corral thing. And I'm planning on taking you into some little towns that, you know, maybe you've never been to, that you were interested in seeing, just like Charles Corral. And if you don't know who Charles Corral is, I understand. He's not with us anymore. This is somebody I used to watch when I was younger. But if you do know who Charles Corral was, and you can go on YouTube and see, you know, what he did. He traveled basically across the United States, doing a TV show for CBS called The Morning Show. And he would travel in a bus, and he would basically see beautiful places and talk to interesting people. And that's the format of this trip. I'm looking forward to that. Now, what I would like is to hear from you, however you get in contact with me. But I would like to, and probably the best way is down in the comments, or if you're over on Instagram, to DM me or comment on Instagram. But if there are things that you are interested in knowing about the prep for this trip, let me know what that is, because there's a lot of prep for this trip. I could theoretically just grab a few bags, a few boxes, and I could go take this trip. So logistically, it's not that much to do, but you know how we are. I'm going to do a whole bunch of stuff. I have some mods I'm going to do, some upgrades I'm going to do. And if you're interested in knowing what those things are, what are my processes and procedures, and how I go from this point to the start of the trip, let me know, and I will see what I can do. So I'm trying to make sure that I think this is the first time I've been on here where from beginning to end, I'm not reading something, or I haven't practiced something verbatim so I don't make a mistake. So I apologize if this was a raggedy podcast, but it's my first one like this, and I will try to do better, and I will do better. And with that wraps up this episode of the podcast. I'm not going to hold you any longer. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And with that, everybody stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully I'll see you here or on a trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.